Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another on the water video for the fishing teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check it out today. We are going to be talking about fishing flat banks, guys. I got a really nice flat bank right here behind me. Flat banks are really good structures for fish, and the thing about them is they don't get a lot of fishing pressure because they don't look that great, but they hold a lot of fish. So we're going to give you guys some tips and advice on how to approach them in today's video. Also guys, if you like the content here on the Fishing Teacher and you want to support the channel and give something back, best way you can do it, guys, is just go into my description on each video, use my tackle warehouse link. You can bookmark that link to, if you have to purchase some fishing tackle, using that link's a great way to support the channel, and much appreciated if you guys could do that. Okay guys, I'm going to flip the camera around here, and I'm going to show you this flat bank. I'm sort of going to describe how they lay out, talk a little bit about how you want to fish it. So okay guys, here's a perfect example of a flat bank area. You've got a nice little secondary point here. You got a little flat pocket, and then coming out to another little flat point right here. And you can see how shallow it is. The water is only 9 foot deep right here, and it's probably going to even be shallower. I'm actually on the inside part of this cut. So if I go up on the point here, I'm going to show you how it comes up. These points, most of the time, these flat points, they don't have a sharp drop unless you get way out off the end of them. As you can see here, it's coming up there. It's 4 or 5 foot deep. Pretty typical for a flat point. So here's what you want to look for on. There's a couple different ways that the fish use these things. First of all, the flat points that come out here, there is eventually a drop off. It just depends on how far it is out there, and those drops can be really good. But also the fish will use even the super shallow part of it all the way out to the drop, depending upon the water temperature and the time of the year. Now flat points, I'll go a little bit over water temperature. Anytime you got water temperatures like over 60 degrees, a flat point is a really good place for a topwater. On low light days, early, late in the morning, buzz bait, walking topwater, popper, something like that works really, really good. Another really good bait out here on a flat point is the swing head jig or a football head jig. You can take that swing head jig and just drag it out all over the points. A really good way to catch them. Sometimes in the winter time, I'll get on these flat points a little bit deeper out there and catch them on a jerk bait. But another thing about these flat banks like this, where you have a little cut like this, is even though the banks are flat in the back, the cut is going to have a little ditch in here. Now these ditches are really, really key areas on a flat bank because the banks may be super, super shallow on both sides of it, but the deepest water is going to be in the cut here. Now a lot of times on this cut, you can take a jerk bait, Alabama rig, swim bait, something like that, just fan cast over the middles and catch them like that. Another really good way, depending upon the water visibility, is a swim jig or something like a fluke is really good on the bank. They're shallow, especially if you got some shallow water targets. But probably, guys, my favorite lure to fish on a flat bank is a floating worm. Those fish will get up really, really shallow on those shallow rocks there. Floating worm is a really good way to catch them, especially in the springtime of the year. Can be awesome. And in the fall time of the year, this is one of my favorite type of areas to get in and cover water with like a whopper plopper or a buzzer, something like that. Now another thing you're going to find out about flat banks is they're a little bit better with some wind on it, because like these flat banks, they don't have much structure on it. So it's really important to have some wind coming in on it. That really generates those fish. And another good lure, if you got some wind coming in on the point, is like a lipless crankbait or like a square bill crankbait, something that runs shallow that you can really bounce and knock around those rocks. Hey guys, just a little quick tutorial on fishing flat banks out there. Doesn't really make any difference if it's clay, gravel, rock, anything like that. One of my favorite places to fish, simply because they don't get a lot of fishing pressure. Most people naturally gravitate to something like rock transitions, steeper banks, something that's got some cover on it, like docks or lay down trees or some grass. So a lot of times these bare, nothing looking flat banks get overlooked, and they can be really, really good. It doesn't matter if you're fishing for smallmouth, spotted bass, or largemouth. They all hold fish, and they'll hold fish most all year long, just depending upon the water depth they're in at the particular time of year. So anyway, hope it helps out. We'll talk later, guys.